James Carville knew how to win, and he blamed the Democratic losses this November 2nd on stupid wokeness, to which AOC fired back that wokeness is a term almost exclusively used by older people these days. So that should tell you all you need to know. What? This is a term folks like you brought out very recently and had been proudly displaying at every march since. Just last year, The Guardian declared woke the word of our era. I guess they didn't get the memo from the Mean Girls Club. We don't use that emoji anymore. Woke, please. We say fetch now.
Bill Maher isn't holding back anymore. In this segment, he goes straight at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and what he sees as the growing disconnect between modern Democrats and everyday voters. The tone is sharp, unapologetic, and direct, setting the stage for a fiery breakdown of political messaging that he believes is completely out of touch with reality. From the very beginning, it's clear this isn't just comedy, it's criticism with a purpose.
That said, I would love to have AOC on this show. There's so much to admire there. I was one of her first supporters for the Green New Deal idea. But that will probably never happen because Democrats don't go anywhere these days where they're not pre-adored. And that's my last bit of advice to them. Go where the amen corner isn't. Do Fox News. Be brave. Come here. Go everywhere. Winning is about expanding the election.
According to Bill Maher, AOC isn't truly distancing herself from woke ideology. She's just uncomfortable with the label. He frames it as a contradiction, embracing the ideas while trying to avoid the public perception attached to them. In his view, this reflects a broader issue within her political circle, where rebranding replaces genuine reflection. His argument goes beyond semantics, suggesting that modern liberalism has drifted far from its original focus on open dialogue and practical solutions.
What a great strategy, never missing an opportunity to remind voters how lame and clueless and hopelessly uncool they are, especially since those are the ones who actually vote. But okay, fine. What word would you like us to use for the plainly insane excesses of the left that are not liberalism, but something completely different? Because you can't have that word liberal from us and think it should cover things like canceling Lincoln and teaching third graders they're oppressors. That's all your new thing.
Bill Maher continues by highlighting how the meaning of woke itself has changed. What once referred to awareness of real social issues has, in his eyes, evolved into something performative and disconnected. He criticizes the shift toward language policing and ideological purity tests, arguing that these trends alienate ordinary people rather than helping them. Instead of addressing real-world problems, the focus has moved toward symbolic battles that don't resonate with the majority.
A more pertinent question to ask about the word woke might be, why in such a short time has it gone from a rallying cry to a pejorative? If the word only made you think of rational, deserved causes like teaching a less whitewashed version of American history, AOC would still want to own it. But it's a joke, because it makes you think of people who wake up offended and take orders from Twitter, and their oversensitivity has grown tiresome. That said,
despite his criticism, Bill Maher makes it clear he's open to debate. He points out that he has repeatedly invited figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez onto his show, but they rarely accept. In his interpretation, this reluctance stems from an unwillingness to face tough, unscripted questions. He positions himself as someone who values honest discussion, contrasting that with what he, as a carefully controlled political environment where challenging conversations are avoided.
That said, I would love to have AOC on this show. There's so much to admire there. I was one of her first supporters for the Green New Deal idea. But that will probably never happen because Democrats don't go anywhere these days where they're not pre-adored. And that's my last bit of advice to them. Go where the amen corner isn't. Do Fox News. Be brave. Come here. Go everywhere. Winning is about expanding the electorate.
Turning his attention to the Democratic Party more broadly, Bill Maher argues that it has become overly focused on performance rather than substance. He criticizes what he sees as excessive attention to cultural messaging, while everyday concerns, like cost of living, safety, and jobs, are pushed aside. According to him, this imbalance creates the perception that the party is disconnected from the very people it claims to represent.
Rust Belt. If a staffer hands you a speech that says menstruating people instead of women, don't say that. Say women. Don't put anyone fresh out of college in charge of the campaign. They've been given participation trophies their whole life. They don't know how to win.
He also points to policy decisions as examples of this disconnect, arguing that ideological rigidity often overrides practical solutions. In his view, opportunities to address urgent domestic issues are sometimes ignored because they don't perfectly align with broader ideological goals. This, he suggests, is not how effective governance works, and it contributes to growing frustration among voters.
Yes, I know. I know every fiber of your being tells you the people you really want to reach are Guatemalan teenagers and bloggers in Gaza, but they can't vote. To a lot of folks in America, you come across as the cares about everybody but me party. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can find ways to stand up for these folks without being David Duke. This month, when the Democrats finally passed their big $1 trillion bill to rebuild our roads and bridges, 6 Democrats voted no because it didn't go far enough to address climate change, which I'm sure is true. What does? But this was free money from the federal government that would actually improve their constituents' lives. I can see a voter saying, you know, squad, I agree with you on climate change. But as long as it is happening, we also need money for getting the water pumped out of the subway.
On social and cultural issues, Bill Maher criticizes what he as extreme positions that confuse or alienate the public. He argues that debates around identity, language, and education have gone so far that they overshadow more pressing concerns. Instead of fostering open discussion, he claims these topics are often handled in ways that shut down dissent and label disagreement as hostility.
And then there's abortion. A difficult issue for the Democrats to lose on, but they're trying. For decades, liberals have said if only men could get pregnant, this wouldn't even be an issue. And abortion rights are women's rights. Well, that's wrong now. Or as the kids say, hold up. When the wokey end of the progressive spectrum talks about abortion now, they shy away from that word, women, and prefer terms like birthing people or people who menstruate, because somewhere there's a trans man who's pregnant, and I say good for him, and I'll be looking for his story somewhere in a future issue of Ripley's Believe It or Not.
In the end, Bill Maher's central message is about balance. He believes the Democratic Party has lost sight of practical governance by focusing too heavily on ideological battles and symbolic gestures. According to him, if the party wants to rebuild trust, it needs to reconnect with everyday realities, prioritize problem solving, and move away from what he sees as excessive political theater. Until that happens, he argues, criticism like his will continue, and voters will keep responding at the ballot box.